Hello, it's Mark Kelly here from What I Know Now. Welcome to episode 13. In this episode, Pat Falvey shares what you need to be a massive success in the world. He talks to us about how success leaves clues and how mentors are there to help us on our journey, to shortcut our journey. Pat also gives us an overview about the preparation required to go to Everest. He talks about picking and recruiting the right talent to take on that journey and how in one case, the person that he picked ended up saving his life. We also speak about what it's like to go on a trek to Everest. It's the equivalent of doing 120 marathons in terms of energy used over 60 days in -60 conditions. We also speak about the inner critic and the outer critic and how you can turn them into an inner coach. We also speak about what it's like to actually be at the top of Everest and the importance of having another goal to go to. I know you're going to absolutely love this episode. So without further ado, over to you. Pat, tell me what it's like preparing to go to the Antarctic or Everest and finding mentors and climbers and how does it feel? Just explain that experience to me.
Everest, Antarctica, becoming one of the best speakers that you can become, right? These are all goals. And basically, I just feel fantastic about having goals that I have to achieve. In turn, I also know, no matter which one they are, because I'm a self-sufficient learner, I want to be the best at what I do, I in turn, seek out a master or masters to actually train me as the apprentice if it's a new area I'm in. And in turn, I go on a journey. And the journey is like, I know where the end of the road is. And it's like within my own body and system, I'm like a GPS, right? Once I have my end goal, if I'm going from here to Dublin or here to New York, I know that's where I'm going. But now I have to get there. And on the way, you have all these elements that you have to, tie down. Like, you have to start the journey.
Yeah.
You have to get out of the house, into the car.
Yeah.
And that's a step. So therefore, all my journeys, including to the top of the world, including becoming one of the top motivational speakers in the world by, whether it's actually one of the biggest property developers or management developers, right, okay? It all starts with the goal, the end point. And then I see it out there and I come back and I start the journey. All journeys starts with you must know where you're going. Yeah. Then on the journey, I usually, pick up what we call people that are experts in their fields. And I learn. Yeah. And I study. And I look at everything that's possible. And eventually, every goal that I've ever set myself, there I am. On top of the world. Having the power to then have a new milestone. I know ever before I actually reach my milestones, because of my lessons in my earlier life, that I need another one.
Yeah. So you do an awful lot of preparation then in terms of your thinking about the questions you need to ask to achieve that goal, who can help you, who's done it before, what are the steps that you need to achieve, and you're working backwards from that end point of that goal. Is that something that you've developed a skill over a while to do, or is this an instinctive thing for you?
Instinctive? No, I got kicked in the ass for not being able to do it initially. Right? I was a bricklayer.
Right.
And when I was building a wall or a house, right? And if you get the first course wrong on the foundation, right? Like, there's so many bricks are such a size and they have to be headed up, right? If I don't actually, do the preparation on the first, everything else after that becomes hard work because I'll be cutting all the time.
Strong foundation.
So, strong foundation. In other words, if you're building the house, in other words, know the layout and have the plan and have it then in a way that the steps become easy. So I've developed these steps. Like people say to me, and what college did you go to? What PhD did you do, right, okay? And I'd say, I was an apprentice bricklayer, right? And most of my lessons, believe it or not, came from my grandmother and my uncles who taught me to become a good bricklayer. It's about the foundation.
Foundation, literally, quite literally the
Yeah.
foundation.
And then it's about the plan. And then it's about to see that when you're making the plan, like, you know, you don't make a shortcut plan. That the plan, like, you can't build half a house, or you can't start building half a house and try to knit the other one back into it.
Yeah.
The plan is the overall plan. You have a strategy, and then you build a house. Then you put the roof on, and then your house is built. And you move in, and it's great. And then after you move in, you say, oh, I might sell this, I might make some money on it, or I might move to the next milestone and buy a bigger house, or build a bigger house.
So when you were looking to go to on your adventures, was there particular people that you were told to reach out to that had expert advice that were very, very important mentors to you?
Yeah, well, I think what happened initially is, you know, say from the building point of view, or from my developing point of view, I was a young lad, and I attracted a lot of people that were older that took an interest, and I seeked and I asked for advice.
Yeah.
You know, and this is another thing that people don't do. Ask for advice. Ask the people who have the experience. And lo and behold, right, okay, you can shortcut so many things.
Success leaves clues.
If you only ask the questions. So I picked out, when I was only 17, moving forward, I picked out about 8 business people that I admired. And like what you're doing here, you're interviewing me, and I went and I spoke to them all, and they all like were in shock. But lo and behold, they all actually took my interviews, and they took my questions, and they all were amazed to say that I had this passion, and every one of them helped.
It's brilliant.
Right? And that's the same what happened with when I decided to climb Mount Everest. I sought out the best climbers in the country. I climbed with them. I asked them, could I? I asked them, how do you do this? How do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do this? I became a very diligent apprentice.
Students.
Yeah. And then, you know, once I summited Everest, and once I started people started coming themselves to me, the likes of John MacDonald, who came here and said, like, you know, I want to climb Mount Everest, and I seen a passion in him, and I said, okay, join my team. Lo and behold, didn't he save my life? But later he went on to die on K2, trying to help 3 other people.
Yeah.
But like, successful people will always help passionate people.
Yeah.
People that want to move forward. You know, my legacy is, what am I going to do? Bottle up what I've learned, right? Okay, stick it in a tin can and say, you know, nobody else, because someone could become as successful as me. No, you share it. Because, you know, I'm happy where I am now in my life.
You said that quite interestingly. Successful people will share their information with people that are passionate. So they'll pick and choose who they'll share their information with, because those passionate people will do something about it, and they'll follow on.
Can I just talk to you about like, inspirational people, or inspirational talks, or inspirational education, or videos and stuff like that? You see, lots of people think it's bull.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And then you ask them, like, you know, they'll actually pick faults in everything, right? And then most of those people, because all I give out, right, okay, is what I have learned, and I give it out freely. I'm not trying to impress anybody.
Yeah.
I just have this feeling that I'd like people to give them the information that I have learned.
Pay it forward.
But it is up to them to decide whether it's worthwhile or not.
Yeah.
You know, as a Toro said one time about critics, and this is what the passionate person have to be careful of, right? Okay, because the greatest fear why people don't do what they want to do is the fear of failure and the fear of critics.
Yeah.
So I've had to, on numerous occasions, you know, ignore my mealy-minded critics in my own self-belief, even though some people could have said I was arrogant or I was anything else like that. And sometimes to succeed, you have to be a little bit arrogant. But here it goes.
I think that feeling comes from that sense of purpose of knowing what you want to know and who you are, that you don't mind what other people say about you, because that fire burns so strong, you'll just be yourself and just say it how you see it.
But other people like want to distract you.
Of course.
Right? And but Toro had a saying one time about critics, and I learned this very early on. It is not for the weak man to put the strong man down. For mainly, they've never got into the arena to sweat blood, sweat and tears to make their goals a reality. The other thing I learned many years ago, and it goes back to mentoring, right? And, you know, it's all in the books I write now as well, but it's like, my father gave me a book and it's from Lawrence of Arabia. And what I do know is that everybody that's out there, right, believe it or not, are the same.
Yeah.
We are all dreamers. But the quote is very simple. We all dream in the dusty recesses of our mind, but most people wake in the morning to find it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day may enact their dreams with open eyes and make them a reality. Well, I'm a dreamer of the day.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But I actually do my best to make them become a reality.
Yeah. But you put the practical steps in and the preparation and the work towards it. So you got the work ethic. And when I was looking at, you said in one of the videos what the equivalent of the climb you're doing. I think, was it 100 marathons consecutively in terms of the energy used?
Yeah, that's what we're looking at there is we're looking at 3 megajoules of energy per day to do the Antarctic.
Yeah.
That's equivalent to 2 consecutive marathons a day for 120 days or 100 days, right? Sorry, 60 days. That's equivalent to 120 consecutive marathons of energy, right? And every day you have to go out into conditions that are minus 20 to minus 60 degrees Celsius. You have to be focused, pin sharp focus. You burn energy. Just imagine this, right? 9,600 calories a day. You must eat to keep what you're looking at here, this body pumping like a train so they can actually cut through the ice, which sometimes can go down to about minus 60 degrees Celsius. Do you know how cold that is?
I'm scared to think of how cold that is.
So cold you could catch a kettle of water, fire it up in the air, and it would come down in crystals. And you never, in that 60 days, ever come out of what would be colder than the freezer in your kitchen if you were to sit in there for 60 days.
What does the average person eat in terms of calories? Just give that for our viewers, listeners.
Well, in the morning we used to get up and we used to eat about 2,000 calories, like 800 calories in porridge. Then we had some drinks and milkshakes and whey and protein. So we had to balance the fat with the protein. Then once we started moving, like it's very funny because what we do is we eat nuts and we put them into a bag, right? And every hour, because it's so cold, every 15 minutes I'd have to eat 450 calories of nuts, which is about 100 grams.
They're like almonds or...
well, macadamia nuts has the biggest oil, protein, calorie per weight, right?
Very good.
So what we do is we'd open the bag and we go into the bag and we go num. And basically, like the horses that have the thing over their ears and they eat the nuts as they're going. Yeah. Well, basically, it was like that we were little donkeys pulling our sleds to the pole.
Tell me what that was like, knowing that you were inching your way up near the end to the very top, and what was going through your mind, and was it a lot of heavy breathing? Did you have the energy to get across? How bad did you want it? Did you feel you were going to realise that dream?
Step by step, by lingering step. I was being attracted to a place that was 220 million years in the making. And all that was above it was the sky. It was a dream. It was a goal. And when I stood there, I said, yes, I've done it. It was amazing. To think for a small part of time in the history of our planet, an Irish man, and indeed on my second time out, an Irish woman, have stood on a place no bigger than the size of a snooker table, 5.5 miles high in the sky. And I said, yes, I have the power. And then I turned away and I walked down knowing what was next, right?
You'd already moved on.
I've already moved on.
Already moved on.
Yeah, already, because I knew I was going to get to the summit. Was it hard? Yes. Was it exciting? Yes. But I did not linger on the fact that I didn't have a what's next when I was coming down.
Yeah. How long did it take you to tell all your friends and family that you made it, in terms of communicating to them back?
Well, on that occasion, there was one occasion when it was reported when I reached the summit, we had no communications, and I was reported as dead for 14 days.
14 days?
Yeah, I think it was 14 days. My wife, the press and everything came up to my wife, and they were saying at the time, you know, any news. And I had told them to communications, our satellite went down, our generator went down, which in turn took communications down. But we were in the north side of Everest, and it took a runner to get out to Kathmandu, because like we had to come down to the base camp, and then we realized we had no phone. Then the person at base camp had to go out in a jeep. The jeep had to get to Kathmandu, and then it got home. But my wife at the time really got mad with the press, because they had reported presumed missing, presumed dead, right? And the second time I had a satellite phone with me, and I said to my family, I said, "Hi, Pat here, myself and Claire O'Leary, Dr. Claire O'Leary, the first Irish female because I was mentoring the second time, right, or standing on top of the world." And I said, "Yes, I've done it." And then, as I was thinking, I was saying, you know, I'm so proud to be an Irishman. I was so proud to be a Cork man. I was so proud to be from the north side of Cork City. I was so proud to be a bricklayer, that everyone had said, "Who do you think you are to have dreams, goals and aspirations like this?" And I said, and I put my finger like this, "I'm here."
Yeah, to all of those people
who were negative, meanie-minded, critics, who were nothing else like but the degraders in relation to the dreams, goals and aspirations. And you know, I say that to people, you have a dream, you have a goal, it's your dream, it's your goal. Ignore what your critics are saying if you believe it good enough, because you don't have to achieve it. You've already succeeded if you go on it. If it's a case you don't go on it, what are you?
Yeah.
A procrastinator.
Procrastinator, fear.
Write it down.
Make it real.
Write it down. And if you don't do it, change your dream and have another one. But if you still hold on to it, and if you're telling me in 20 years' time about the same dream, I'm going to tell you, you're a procrastinator.
Yeah, never going to happen. If you had the opportunity now to go for a coffee with your 18-year-old self or your 80-year-old self in the future, who would you have a coffee with, and why would you have a coffee with them?
Well, first and foremost, I'm looking forward to going for coffee with my 80-year-old self, because I have dreams, goals and aspirations to become 80, even though I know that life may not deal me that card. In actual fact, I would also like to talk to my 100-year-old self when I get there. But when I am talking to my 80-year-old self, I'll be saying, aren't I glad I followed my dreams with conviction and passion, lived the life that I had wanted to do, and here we are now sitting together, and didn't we have a great life? Didn't we create a lot of good? Didn't we, and haven't we created an amazing legacy? When I look, then when we're looking, I would look out, and there I will see my sons, my grandsons and daughter, you know, and say, God, I remember when I was 8. And I hope that I have given to them what my grandmother gave to me, the power of positive thinking, the power of self-belief, the power of instilling in them that they're as important as Donald Trump, as JFK, as the Pope, or anyone that they may put up as an icon, and say, we can do that. And they now have the power.
What do you know now that you wish you knew then?
I think life is a journey. I think it's not that I wish that I knew then what I know now, because probably I wouldn't have done the things that I have done if I knew what I know now.
Gotcha.
So therefore, life is a journey. I'd say go with it. You know, don't actually, you know, kick yourself too hard too often, right? Because of the fact it is life.
Yeah.
As much as I have the wisdom that I have now, it's because I am of the age that I am, not because I am 18. And if I was 18, and I've seen this with my own kids, right, okay, that's in other words, when I tell them about what their dad would think, they said, Dad, don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they will go away and they will make their own mistakes. Now, what I'm hoping is that they will have taken something, they say sometimes children don't fall far from the tree. You know, because at the end of the day, they'll start thinking about what I've gone through in my life and they will learn from that. But, you know, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, they all have their own dreams, goals and aspirations, and they'll do it exactly the way that they want to. And they will succeed and they will fail. It's cyclical, right? Because the up waves and the down waves. It's the up waves and the down waves through the history of man, right? I remember getting a letter one time from a friend of mine, and it's been before the emails, and it said in the letter, we were doing a thing on the psychology of children, right? And it said that the children of today have far too much. They don't respect their parents half as much as the children before, right? And we don't know where it's all going. So I read it, and it's quite true. Yeah. Except it was said 2,000 years ago. So life is changing. Global warming, climate change, booms, bursts, you know, industries succeeding, failing, people living, people dying. It's all cyclical. We are but 0.1 second in the history of our universe. Yeah. Be the best that you can be at what you're doing and where you're going.
Thank you very much, Pat. Just to enjoy the final part of Pat Falvey's remarkable journey, you can subscribe to the podcast via iTunes or your Android podcast of choice. Just enter WIKN. You can also catch the latest episodes and blogs on the website www.wikn.co. That's www.wikn.co. Big, massive favour to ask. If you're an iTunes subscriber, please leave me a 5-star review and some comments. Really, really appreciate it. I look forward to speaking with you next week. What action are you going to take after listening to Pat's talk? Remember, dream big and take action. See you next week.